Welcome to this introduction to design thinking. Design thinking is much more than a methodology. It is a mindset, a philosophy, and a practical approach to innovation and problem solving. It helps organizations, teams, and individuals address complex challenges by focusing on three important aspects: people, innovation, and problem solving. At its foundation, design thinking combines empathy, creativity, and continuous iteration. It helps us bridge the gap between what people actually need and what technology and business can realistically deliver. In this presentation, we will explore the fundamentals of design thinking, understand its process, identify when it is most useful, and examine the importance of collaboration and stakeholders. Let us begin by understanding what design thinking actually means. Before we proceed, let me briefly introduce myself. I am Mr. S. Vinoth, Assistant Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology. I completed my undergraduate degree in Civil Engineering at KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology and my postgraduate degree in Structural Engineering from Sri Shakti Institute of Engineering and Technology. I have also gained professional experience as a technical assistant in the town planning section at Singanallur Corporation Office, Coimbatore. My areas of interest include structural engineering, infrastructure engineering and management, and earth system science and engineering. With this background, we will explore how design thinking can be understood and applied not only in design disciplines, but also in engineering and infrastructure-related problem solving. So, what exactly is design thinking? At its core, design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation and problem solving. It uses tools and approaches associated with designers to bring together three important requirements: the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for business success. An important difference between design thinking and conventional problem solving is where we begin. Instead of starting with a solution and then searching for a problem to solve, design thinking begins with empathy. We first try to understand the people we are designing for, their experiences, frustrations, behaviors, expectations, and aspirations. This helps us ensure that the solution addresses a genuine human need rather than an assumption made by the designer. 3 intersecting forces. Design thinking operates at the intersection of 3 critical dimensions. The first is desirability. Desirability asks, what do people truly need and want? The second is feasibility. Feasibility asks, what is technically achievable with the available capabilities and resources? The third is viability. Viability asks, what can be sustained by a business or organization over time? A successful innovation must consider all 3. In simple terms, a solution should be desirable to people, feasible to develop, and viable to sustain. When these 3 dimensions overlap, we have the foundation for meaningful and transformative innovation. Going beyond symptoms. Design thinking also encourages us to go beyond symptoms. Traditional problem solving may sometimes focus on fixing the immediately visible problem. Design thinking asks us to investigate the underlying causes. Instead of immediately asking, what solution can we build, we ask better questions, observe users, understand their behavior, and investigate what they actually experience. This is important because users may not always be able to clearly explain their real needs. Therefore, design thinking requires us to be comfortable with ambiguity, explore different perspectives, and continuously learn. The objective is not simply to create something functional, but to create a solution that is meaningful and relevant to the people who will use it. Transition. In this way, design thinking reframes problems as opportunities. It is not only about fixing what is broken. It is also about imagining what could be possible. Design thinking is not a method that needs to be applied to every problem. It is particularly powerful when we are dealing with challenges that are complex, ambiguous, uncertain, and deeply connected to human needs. Therefore, understanding when to use design thinking is itself an important skill. Complex or wicked problems. The first situation is a complex or wicked problem. Wicked problems are problems that are difficult to define clearly, continuously change, and cannot usually be solved with one simple or universally correct answer. Examples include healthcare access, climate adaptation, and organizational culture change. These problems require continuous exploration, involvement of multiple stakeholders, and a willingness to redefine the problem as we learn more. Design thinking is particularly suitable because its iterative nature allows teams to learn and adapt throughout the process. Updating existing products or services. The second situation is when an existing product or service is not performing as expected. For example, users may experience frustration, low adoption, poor usability, or dissatisfaction. Design thinking allows the team to return to the users, observe their experiences, understand hidden pain points, and redesign the product or service based on actual needs. The objective is not simply to make an existing product technically better, but to make the overall user experience more meaningful and intuitive. Developing new user-centric products. The third situation is developing a completely new product or service. In this situation, design thinking helps prevent teams from making assumptions about what users want. Instead, development begins with an understanding of real human needs. This can be applied to a digital platform, physical product, engineering system, or service model. Starting with empathy reduces the risk of developing something that nobody actually needs or wants. Collaborative settings. Finally, design thinking is highly effective in collaborative environments where different perspectives need to be brought together. For example, engineers may focus on technical feasibility, marketers may focus on user positioning, and managers may focus on organizational viability. Design thinking creates a common framework through which these different perspectives can contribute to the same challenge. In this way, it supports cross-functional collaboration, creativity, and shared problem-solving. Now let us look at the core design thinking process. Design thinking is commonly represented through 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. However, it is important to understand that these stages are not strictly linear. In real-world applications, teams may move backward and forward between stages as new information becomes available. The strength of design thinking comes from this iterative nature. The 5 stages are: empathize, understand the users through observation, interaction, and research. Define, convert the insights obtained from users into a clear problem or challenge. Ideate, generate a wide range of creative and possible solutions. Prototype, develop quick and tangible representations of promising ideas. Test, evaluate these prototypes with users and use their feedback to improve the solution. Empathize and define. The empathize stage forms the foundation of the entire process. Through interviews, observation, and immersion in the user's environment, the team develops a deeper understanding of user behavior, emotions, and unspoken needs. The next stage is define. Here, the information collected during empathy is synthesized into a clear and actionable problem statement. This is sometimes referred to as a point of view. A good problem statement should be specific enough to guide the design team, but open enough to allow unexpected and creative solutions. Ideate, prototype, and test. After defining the problem, the team moves into ideation. At this stage, the focus is on generating a broad range of possibilities rather than immediately selecting the first idea. The most promising ideas can then be converted into prototypes. A prototype is a tangible and simplified representation of a proposed solution. The prototype is then tested with users. Their feedback helps the team determine whether the solution actually addresses the identified need. If the feedback reveals new problems or opportunities, the team can return to an earlier stage, modify the idea, create a new prototype, and test again. This cycle of learning, building, testing, and refining is what makes design thinking iterative and adaptable. Design thinking is fundamentally a collaborative practice. Complex human problems cannot usually be understood completely from a single perspective. Therefore, effective design thinking requires engagement with a broad ecosystem of stakeholders. Different stakeholders bring different experiences, knowledge, requirements, and perspectives to the problem. End users. The most important stakeholders are the end users, the people for whom the solution is being designed. Their experiences, frustrations, expectations, and aspirations provide the foundation for empathy. It is important to interact directly with users through observation and conversation rather than relying only on surveys or assumptions. Users should not be treated simply as subjects of research. They can become co-creators of the solutions that are ultimately designed for them. Internal teams. Design thinking also requires collaboration within the organization. Different functions may include engineering, marketing, operations, finance, and leadership. Each group contributes a different perspective. Engineers may evaluate technical feasibility. Marketing teams may consider user positioning and communication. Finance teams may evaluate viability and resources. Leadership may consider strategic alignment and implementation. Bringing these perspectives together early in the process can produce stronger and more implementable solutions. Cross-functional partners. Complex problems often extend beyond the organization itself. External stakeholders may include suppliers, regulators, community organizations, and other external partners. These stakeholders may possess information, resources, or practical experience that is essential to solving the problem. Therefore, design thinking encourages us to move beyond the idea that one organization can solve everything alone. Instead, we become participants within a broader system where different stakeholders influence the final outcome. Importance of diversity. Finally, diversity of perspectives is not simply desirable, it is practically necessary. If everyone in a team has the same background and assumptions, they may also share the same blind spots. Design thinking deliberately seeks different perspectives because differences in experience can generate new insights and reveal problems that a homogeneous team may overlook. Thank you for watching this introduction to design thinking. In this presentation, we explored the fundamentals of design thinking, including its human-centered nature, the relationship between desirability, feasibility, and viability, the situations where design thinking is most effective, its 5-stage iterative process, and the importance of stakeholder collaboration. The key message to remember is simple. Start with people, understand the real problem, explore possibilities, build and test ideas, and continuously learn from feedback. This mindset forms the foundation for developing meaningful and innovative solutions. Thank you.